Vegas,
Here.
and Frost. And you have a quorum.
Okay. So do you want to move to the announcement first, or?
I can begin with the announcement. This
Okay.
meeting of the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation and Sacramento Area Sewer Districts is being recorded and will be broadcast on Saturday, July 31st at 4 p.m. on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel, on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T U-verse cable systems. The meeting is closed captioned for our hearing impaired viewers. In accordance with Government Code 54952.3, compensation for meeting of these legislative bodies is required to be verbally disclosed. The amount of $100 will be paid for each member participating today as a member of the Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District, and the amount of $100 will be paid for each board member participating today as a member of Sacramento Area Sewer District. Compensation for Sacramento County Supervisors and City of Sacramento council members is paid to the county and city respectively to partially offset the cost of those governments. Compensation for other board members is delivered to the individuals. For those members of the public who are wishing to make a public comment, members of the public may address the board of directors in person to make a public comment. A face mask and social distancing are recommended while inside administration building. Seating is limited and available on a first-come, first-served basis. Members of the public addressing the board of directors will be required to complete and submit a speaker request form to clerk staff. The chairperson will invite each individual to make a verbal comment during the public comment period for each agenda item or off-agenda matter. Telephonic public comments. To make a verbal comment, please call 916-875-2500. Refer to the agenda and listen to the live meeting to determine when is the best time to call to be placed in queue for a specific agenda item. Callers may be on hold for up to an extended period of time and should plan accordingly. Written comments are always accepted. Send an email comment to boardclerk@saccounty.net, including meeting date, agenda item number, or off-agenda item. Contact information is optional. Or mail a comment to 700 H Street, Suite 2450, Sacramento, California 95814. Written comments are distributed to the Board of Directors and filed in the record. Thank you.
Okay, if you'll all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we will start with, do we have any public comments?
We have no public comments.
Okay, then we will move to item 2.
Item number 2, acting as a Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District, District Consent Matter. Approve Renyon Salzman, Inc. to provide on-call media buying and creative services.
Madam Chair and members of the board, we have 2 members that need to recuse on this item. With that, we won't have the quorum for taking the action for that particular item. Let's move to the end. If we have other members that come, we can do that. If not, we will move it to the next item, next board meeting on August 25th. So with that, we'll just move down to the agenda.
Item number 3 is Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District and Sacramento Area Sewer District, District Separate Matters, Miscellaneous Director and District Engineer Matters.
So we will not have a meeting on August 11th, at least we're not planning. Then the next meeting will be on August 25th, which will be my last meeting with the district. And I think some of you, this is maybe the last time I see you in person, because typically our meetings are not attended in person. So again, I was talking with the director of Venezuela, and she said, "Oh my God, you're taller than I thought you are." So we always have these kinds of reactions when we talk in person. I think hopefully not too distant from now that we will all get back and be attending in a meeting. So,
But
anyway.
you'll still be tall.
I think I'll be shrinking by that time. As the saying goes, you get older, you shrink. So, but I will be there on August 25th. I think that's all the announcements I have. And Christoph will take over on September 13th. Is board appointed. So
That's not a Friday, is it?
No, 13th is a Monday.
Thank you.
No, we made sure that wasn't the case. I'm scheduled to retire on 10th, but I may actually move it up a week. probably leave on September 3rd. I'll make the decision soon here. I'll let you know. That's all I have in terms of comments.
Do you have any comments from any of the directors?
I do, Madam Chair, if I could real quickly, just want to recognize and appreciate staff's commitment to ensuring that the public's aware of the work that we do. And so I noticed yesterday in our utility bill, there was a reminder of the work that we do here on this board in terms of our environmental stewardship and the fact that the EchoWater project remains on schedule, on budget, and there are no rate increases scheduled for this year. So I think it's a good reminder to the public to be able to hear precisely what we do, and those are two critical aspects of our work, so thank you.
If only everybody else would actually read that.
I actually normally don't. It was just funny that it was perfect. It felt,
Oh, wait, you were looking to see if your name was on there?
no, I'll put it on there later. Thank you, Madam
The other
Chair.
thing that I wanted to mention was there are some new members here. We have a virtual tour that originally we planned to show, but given the way it's situated, we couldn't. But what we'll do is when we get into the bus, as we start taking the drive, that video will play in the bus. So that the members know what kind of, at a rudimentary level, what a wastewater treatment plant process looks like. And then we also have a 3-minute video about specifically the BNR project that we just completed. That video was done, I think it was maybe a day or two ago completed, and it got released to the media this morning. So there's some attention from the media probably later today. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you that's what you're going to, when we go to the bus, you'll see those. Also, just in terms of reminders, there are restrooms in the back, those of you that are aware. And when we go into the bus, we're going to need to wear masks. Any public transportation, we're required to wear masks even when we're vaccinated. That's the requirement, so we're going to follow that. Masks during the entire course, we're in the bus. We'll come back here, and then the lunch will be here. So while having lunch, you can ask questions about what you've seen and other things that may be. So that's how we're. That's all I have.
Okay, so I think that moves us on to item number 4 for SASD.
Acting as a Sacramento Area Sewer District Consent Matters, item 4. It is awarded contract for the Highlands ARD 4 and 5 sewer relief project. We do not have.
Just to double check, do we have a quorum for SASD?
Yeah, this one, I think we will have quorum. We have Director Cerna, Director Vang, Director Frost, Director Bruins, Director Howell, and Director Desmond. Six
right.
can take action
Yes.
on it. So we have
Okay.
a quorum for that.
I already called the item into the record.
Okay,
so.
any staff report on this?
No, it's request here about, it's an awarding of the contract.
I move approval of consent.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
I have a motion by Director Bruins and a second by Director Frost, and we do not have any public comments on this item. Director Bruins?
Aye.
Director Frost? Director Hume? Director Kennedy? Natoli? Desmond?
Aye.
Cerna?
Aye.
Bang?
Yes.
Howell?
Yes.
And the motion carries with those members present.
Okay, so now we're back to SRCSD, item number 5.
Yes. And this is the acting as Sacramento Regional County Sanitation District Separate Matters, EchoWater Project Quarterly Report for April 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2021.
Usually Mike would stand in front of you to be delivering this report, but since the way we're structured, he's sitting there going to deliver. Also, you will usually have a presentation, PowerPoint presentation, which we won't have. There are a few slides in front of you that he will speak from, so as he's talking, you can refer to them. Mike?
Okay, thank you. Good morning, members of the board, Madam Chair. My name is Mike Crooks. I'm Deputy Director of Operations for Regional SAN, and I'm also Regional SAN's Program Manager for EchoWater Project. As Prabhakar mentioned, I'm going to speak to the exhibits that you guys have in front of you, and I'll also make some comments about some of the notable activities that occurred this past quarter, as well as the activities that we have in front of us for the next quarter. The first slide that we're looking at is a summary of the program schedule. I think most of you have seen this probably numerous times. It lists all the various projects that make up the EchoWater project or program, most of which are completed. And actually, there's only a few of active projects, 2 actively in construction, which are BNR, about halfway down the list, and you can see its bar is basically touching that vertical red line that represents essentially today's date. Although the contractor is still actively working out there on certain things, the project is essentially done. The process is online. It's just treating all of our flow, and that's one of the most notable things that occurred this past quarter. You recall we had a milestone for meeting the new limit for ammonia that was established in December of 2010 by the regional board. So that date was May 11 of this year. The BNR facility had enough basins online to where we could actually run 100% of our flow through that facility on April 19th. So almost 1 month in advance of that deadline or that milestone that was set more than 10 years ago. So very exciting, a great success story. We actually gave a presentation at the regional board back in June kind of commemorating this, and they were very happy with the district, with our board, and all the progress that we've made and we continue to make on the rest of the project. The other projects that are still in progress, although it doesn't really indicate on this sheet, the flow equalization project, which continues to struggle to reach the end line, the finish line. We still are working on that, the automated washdown system, but the basins are usable. So we've taken beneficial occupancy of that project, but the contractor is still active on it and expects to wrap up by the end of this year. The next major project that's under construction is the tertiary treatment facilities. This is to meet that other requirement that was included in our new permit in 2010, and that was to provide filtration and enhance disinfection. This project is going very nicely. The contractor is making great progress. They're pretty much on their original established schedule when they first started a couple of years ago. So that again, it's a great success story. The milestone that was set for that is May of 2023, and right now we're on target to complete this project in November of 2022. So essentially 6 months prior to that deadline.
Before we move off that, could you just remind everybody what the objective of that project was, and whether or not there have been any instances where we have exceeded the things that we're basically filtering for that we probably don't need to be filtering for in the first place? Sorry, that only makes sense to those of us that have been around for a while.
So the regional board established a requirement for us to provide tertiary treatment.
Yeah. So the purpose that they did was for Giardia and Cryptosporidium. These are the cysts that can go through our digestive system, and they're not necessarily very amenable to chlorine disinfection. So there was a controversy in terms of whether the numbers in the river were high enough that warranted the filtration to begin with. And we contested it and we litigated it. Ultimately, when we settled for the purpose of 2 things. One, obviously, there's uncertainty in terms of how much we needed to do with respect to the whole filtration process. We reached an agreement with them where we said we would filter using about 2/3 the size in terms of full filtration, meaning that we could filter roughly 90 to 95% of the flows through the 2/3 the size of the filtration footprint if you let us just go with the 2/3 and allow us for 90 to 95%. So there's a small periods of the time when there's heavy rains coming, we could store the water, and that water is, when the river is really high and nobody is recreating or anything, that would not be necessary at the time. So we reached an agreement. That's how we ended up settling it, and that saved us close to $200 million by doing that. The second thing, I think it allowed us, even though it was more of a dream at the time when we settled it in 2010, this whole harvest water project, where that we want to reuse our water in the region for agricultural purposes, which I think you heard the project, without the filtration that would not be possible. So now the filtration would make that project possible. So in some ways, it's, even though we reached that settlement, even though it was not really needed, but it benefited. So that's how
And
we.
just to add to that, for the people that are not geeks, Giardia and Cryptosporidium are both things that you would find in potable water sources.
That's right, especially
like
up in the mountains.
Being
Yeah.
Folsom Lake being the closest example, you are much more likely to be subjected to either of those things at Folsom Lake than if you were to sit in an inner tube at the outfall in the river.
It's a fairly accurate statement.
I think I said that to the
yeah,
board in
yeah.
2010. but-
This was back in 2010 when we were protesting the permit. But again, some history in terms of 10 years ago, what happened and where we are. But I think in the end, it's, again, yesterday, just to kind of give you a perspective, I made a presentation. I spoke with the Metropolitan Water District board subcommittee on this project, and there's actually Metropolitan Water District GM and their staff are coming to take the tour of the treatment plant. Where obviously, in those days our relations weren't that great. Now we have great relationships with them, and they're very appreciative of the work that was done. At least now that they can't point to the regional sand and say, you are causing us problems. I mean,
Yeah, the signs have all been removed from I-5.
So it's whatever happened. I think in the end, we're at a decent place, and I think it's also, if you think about it, we're the largest inland wastewater treatment plant, and especially we're discharging into an estuary that's a very important estuary for the state. I think what we've done is definitely a prudent step that it's done. So we can go out and actually environmental stewardship being one of our values, to say that we put weight behind our value. I mean, in terms of spending close to $1.7 billion and paying for it ourselves without any grants, and so that's something I think we can be proud of.
Anyway, I just wanted to highlight that because
Yeah.
it really is, it's a really big deal.
Just a brief comment. I'm a big fan of tertiary treatment. Up in Alaska, I got Giardia, and I can tell you, it's not fun.
No, it is not.
It's a tremendous, it's an ordeal to go through that, and I think that this kind of filtration is fantastic. It's a really good thing for the region, and I'm very proud of what you've effected.
Especially for us to be able to deliver water to our farmers. That's
Yeah.
very important for it.
Okay. Sorry, Mike.
That's okay, thank you. In addition to the filtration, again, going back to BNR, I think another notable thing to mention is the process is working excellently. The water quality coming off of it is fantastic. And as a result of that facility, we are now removing around 30,000 pounds of ammonia every day that used to go to the Sacramento River. So that's another, I think, notable piece of information. Last note on this summary schedule, the last 3 bars toward the bottom are kind of closeout projects that we're planning, or more in the planning stages. The first is the CO tank. That's the old biological process that's no longer online, to try and repurpose those facilities if we can. Also, there's some decommissioning work of other facilities that are now offline, such as the cryo plant, which used to produce the oxygen for our secondary process, and so we have to decommission that facility. And then we'll also be doing some additional final site improvements to basically tidy up the plant, tighten up the fences, improve the roads that have been beat up over the last several years of heavy construction. So again, this past quarter, the big deal was BNR being able to treat 100% of our flow. The tertiary treatment facility making great progress. It's mentioned in the quarterly report, but essentially all the concrete has been placed now on that project, which is huge. And so there are a lot of electrical and mechanical installation still going on, and we've actually started commissioning the electrical components. So some of the buildings out there are actually energized now. So again, contractors making great progress. I think enough said about that. For the coming quarter, we hope to again wrap up the flow equalization project, which has kind of been lingering, but again making slow progress. On the B&R facility, we still do need to finish some of the punch list work, and there's also some corrective items that need to be addressed that have been discovered during the commissioning process. But more importantly, we're going to run this plant through its paces, basically run it all the way up to its design flow of 330 million gallons a day. Planning to do that, I don't know if it'll be August or September, but in order to do that, we'll need to divert flow to our emergency storage basins and then return that flow so we have that amount of flow going through the process. So that'll kind of shake out the rest of the bugs if there are any. On the TTF side of things, I mentioned the electrical equipment commissioning. That just got started this month. But one really exciting piece of work that's going to happen in September is it's going to make an initial connection to the existing, one of the existing effluent pipelines. We've got two parallel 96-inch pipelines that come off of our existing process, the treated water, carrying it to our pumps. They're going to do an initial tie-in to one of those in September. We did some testing to see what it would take to drain that line to make sure that we could effectively drain it in a manner of time that fits the contractor's schedule to complete that work. And it was a great test. It was very successful, so we're looking good for September. So we're really looking forward to that. So the next slide in your handout is for cost-related information, the cost projections. Again, this is a slide that you've seen before. It's been in the quarterly reports, and it really hasn't changed much. We're tracking on the projected amounts for both total program cost and also soft costs. And actually, if the projections hold true, we'll end up finishing under our current budget of $1.735 billion. The next sheet is just a listing of all the projects that make up the EchoWater project and their respective budgets and actual expenditures to date. As mentioned, most of these are done, and so the numbers that you see are final, with just those handful of remaining projects that are still in progress, the couple that are in construction, and then the few remaining ones that are in planning. The last sheet on the handout is it's an aerial of the plant, or the process area of the plant. And so I was just going to kind of step through this. This reflects the route that we're going to be taking on the tour, marked by the numbered stars that you see there. But before we go there, you'll note up in the upper left-hand corner of this exhibit, there's an old photo of the old central plant. And that's the plant that used to be out here before Regional was built. So this is a 1974 photo, and you can see on the bigger picture, on the aerial, in the lower center portion of the facility, you can kind of make out those same features that used to be the central plant. So this gives you a little perspective of what we used to be and what we are now.
But that was before the other plants were consolidated,
That was
right?
before regionalization, yes.
Yeah, and also those members that are new, we used to have 22 different treatment plants in the region, all around, and they were discharging to the American River, Sacramento River, and on the land. And Director Cerna came in as a child with his father when this plant had essentially the opening ceremony. It was back in '82. You can see the
Were you in a stroller, Phil?
I mean, I shouldn't say child meaning not little child, but anybody I say under 18 is a child.
I think I was a preteen.
Yeah, but just he said he enjoyed being here and seeing the expanse of what happened since that time. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I'll step through it relatively quickly. So lower left, you see a star. that's where you guys all parked, and it's roughly where we are leaving. That's where we're going to start the tour. Get on a bus, and we'll make our way up to the #1 star on the right-hand side. That's the BNR facility. So the BNR facility not only it's consisted of the basins that you see there, where it says new secondary treatment BNR, but also the components just below it. That's the primary effluent pump station that pumps flow to the BNR basins, and there's also a foul air treatment system there, a biofilter, if you will, that treats foul air out of the primary channel that runs to the BNR. So after the BNR, we'll make our way up and to the left a little bit to star #2. That's the nitrifying the side stream treatment. This process treats flows that come off of our solid storage basins that carry a very high ammonia load. That facility is pretty special in the overall picture of our ammonia compliance. It was one of the first facilities completed and brought online, and we had a requirement to remove, I believe it was 3.5 million pounds of ammonia from those ponds by this year? May of this year?
So a little story related to that is Regional San was litigating certain things prior to 2010 with the water agencies. They actually won a judgment against us for lawyers' fees, over $1 million. So what we entered into an agreement with them was, in exchange for paying the fees, we won't pay the fees, but we'll try to remove ammonia earlier than 2021. We knew we could with some sequencing that could be done. So if we didn't remove the ammonia, we were going to contribute monies based on pounds not removed to a nonprofit. And our target was 3.5 million pounds by May 2021. That's what had to be removed. And we removed 5 million pounds many months ahead, and we didn't pay the lawyer's fees, or $1 million plus. That's how we negotiated. This was something that came about 5 years ago with that.
A couple other notable benefits of this facility. Because it knocked down ammonia that would have otherwise made its way to the BNR facility, it allowed us to really shrink the footprint of the BNR and saved us a lot of money on the construction side of things. The other benefit that it provides is chemical savings. The effluent that comes out of this plant, it's high in nitrates, and it's similar to a chemical that we use for odor control in our interceptor facility. So we actually pipe effluent from this facility outside the plant to a couple different locations upstream in our interceptor facility, and it provides that odor control benefit and reduces the amount of chemical that we would otherwise have to buy. And so it's set to pay for itself in a fairly short amount of time.
It saves us about $3 million a year on the chemical costs.
Yep.
That's somewhat of a unique. There are very few facilities in the country that is used for the purpose, and that's one of the facilities. And also, I'll tell you, when this is complete, all this project is complete next year, we'll be the second largest advanced wastewater treatment facility in the United States, behind Washington, D.C. And some say it's the largest of its kind, the kind of process that we use. So it's a lot of work went behind us.
Madam Chair, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So how far upstream in the interceptor system does that flow go? Does it go all the way to, for instance, Natomas?
No.
So-
This is more locally.
Yeah, so the first point of connection that we went to was basically just due north of the plant, essentially in the Delta Shores area.
Okay.
We've got the force mains that come from the South River pump station over on the Yolo County side of the river. We inject into those force mains before that flow reaches the plant. And then there's another structure more on the east side of the plant that we pipe that same effluent to before it reaches our headworks. So it's still fairly close to the plant. So after that facility, the star #3 marks the location of the new tertiary treatment facility that's under construction. Other notable elements on this exhibit: the old secondary treatment process. Again, it's offline. We're looking for ways to possibly repurpose those tanks. I think there's 12 large underground tanks that it would be nice to be able to use them if possible.
Could they be used for overflow?
We're thinking diurnal flow equalization
Okay.
to flatten the flow curve.
Yep.
And to provide numerous benefits to the treatment process. Also noted on here, the old cryo plant. That's the facility that used to produce oxygen for the old activated sludge process here. So I think that pretty much covers it. Happy to answer any questions if there are any others.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay. Thanks.
If there are no questions from any members, I mean, you can obviously ask while we're traveling and when we come back after we have seen. Since we won't have quorum when we get back, I would like a motion from any member to move item number 2 to August 25th board meeting, please.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
I'm sorry, who made the motion in the second? And the second? Thank you. Member Bruins?
Aye.
Frost? Harris?
Aye.
Hume? Kennedy? Loloe? Singh Allen? Sander? Natoli? Orozco? Desmond? Zerna?
Aye.
Valenzuela?
Yes.
Vang? Villegas?
Yes.
And Chairperson Howell?
Yes.
Thank you.
So
And-
if you need to leave anything valuable, you can leave it here. Staff will be here. So what we'll do is we'll walk back the way you came, board the bus, and then go on the tour and come back here. By the time we come back here, the lunch will be here. Grab your lunch. You can ask questions of the staff. And certainly we want to get you out by 12:30.
Okay, and I just want to thank everybody for coming out here to the plant today. I want to thank all the staff for setting this up. I unfortunately am not able to stay for the tour, although I have logged many, many hours at this plant, so I know where most of the stuff is anyway. So enjoy the tour. I hope that you leave here being a little bit more geeky than when you came in, because, you know, this is important to our everyday life, regardless of how icky sometimes people think this is. But without it, we'd be living in a very different place.
Thank
So
you.
enjoy everything, and we'll see you at the next meeting. Otherwise, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
And if anybody needs to use the restroom, they're right here. We'll pause for a couple of minutes.
Okay, Madam Clerk, well, I'll call the meeting back to order and take roll again before we adjourn. Okay.
Yep, that's it.
Member Bruins?
Member Bruins is...
Harris?
Here?
Howell? Oh, she's not here. That's right. I'm sorry. Hume, Kennedy, Loloe, Singh, Allen, Sander, Natoli? Here. Orozco? Desmond?
Here?
Cerna? Valenzuela? Did she stay? Valenzuela?
She left. She left.
Okay. Oh. Vang? Villegas?
Here.
And Frost?
Okay, well, thank you. I guess I'll ask if there's any comments from any board members. Hearing and, okay. Director Frost?
It's amazing how much progress has been made in the last 2 years. Beyond comprehension.
Okay, well,
Mr. Chair?
yes.
Yep. I just want to, again, comment on the overall work. I think it's indicative, and it's clear to all of us who participated, even though I had the abbreviated portion due to my previous commitment today as far as the tour, but just seeing the level of activity, even absent the construction, but to see the the structures both in ground as well as above ground, and get some sense of the magnitude and the massiveness of that. And I was commenting to the person who was giving me the abbreviated tour, that this is so critical, so key, this infrastructure, to the health of our community to the daily aspects of everything that we do, certainly from the sanitation, but from an environmental standpoint. And it really is a tribute to all the folks, certainly the leadership that's in the room here today, but to all the men and women who've worked throughout, now a couple of generations in iterations of the plant and this expansion. But it really is a credit to all involved, and this will serve this community again well for generations to come. And again, I just compliment all the folks, and I know there's still a lot of construction activity, and probably construction will never end out here. It is probably like the Winchester mystery house that there, you continue to add on, build, improve and such, but certainly provocative to all your staff, all the men and women in the trades, and all those who each day make this plant and certainly the entire system function as well as it does. And I think the investment of public dollars here is not only wise, but people can be very proud of that investment, and hopefully be able to open this up once some of the construction activity subsides to, as you did prior going into it with the EchoWater project, you'll have the public, people of all ages from all walks of life, to actually see what goes on here and to experience and to get a sense of, what it means to have a facility that has all the moving parts, but also what it means to the health and ongoing prosperity of our community. So again, kudos, and again, I won't say a job well done because it's not really done, but certainly kudos to all the good work that's ongoing out here.
On behalf of the roughly 350 staff here, and then roughly the 800 staff that work for both districts, I accept your appreciation. It's really the work of the unseen that you're seeing here. We're simply the face of them. Often not pretty faces, but I'm speaking for myself, by the way. But it took a lot of work to get us where we are today, and I'm really thankful. And obviously, your support was monumental in terms of rate adjustments and agreeing to settle certain things along the way. And we still have challenges going forward, but I think a lot of heavy lifting is behind us. I can't thank the board enough for you acting the way you did, proactively in terms of the rate adjustments. And that's the reason why we are where we are in terms of roughly half what we thought our rates were going to be, along with many other things that were done here. So I thank you on behalf of the staff.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Director Cerna?
Thank you. So I certainly want to echo what Director Natoli eloquently said about the teamwork that has produced something very remarkable. But I just wanted to add, in terms of my own personal experience, I'll never forget being elected in the June primary in 2010, and the first thing I was enlisted to do was to testify at the Regional Water Quality Control Board with a number of other individuals that were expressing concern at the time. And of course, that was followed by approximately 7 minutes of deliberation before the gavel came down, and they commenced a $2 billion project that has now taken over a decade to get us to this point. But I think regardless of some of the rationale in terms of why we've done what we've done, I've also taken note of kind of the ownership that's developed here in the culture of at the water treatment plant and in the district to really own the environmental benefits that will come with the tertiary treatment and the BNR project specifically. So I just wanted to share that, and again, just extend my sincere gratitude for a job very well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Cerna. Director Harris.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm continually impressed by the engineering at this plant. The ability to do such a monumental project and not disrupt service in any particular way is really a tremendous amount of thought went into this project and continues to. So my congratulations to all the engineers who participated in this project. And one other thing I'd like to say, I've been involved in this process for just under 7 years. So it was really the happy place because I got to watch the entire construction process. But I want to congratulate the board members who served prior to me, who made some tough decisions and the right decisions to move forward with this project. So all of you have been on the board for 10 years and more. Jeannie's one, Carrie certainly, Phil, Don. Well, yeah, you know, there's lots of jokes to be made about that. Don was here when Nicholas Dairy was built. Anyway, I just want to congratulate you all because you started the process. And look where we are today. It's a tremendous feat. Thank you all.
I just want to add to what you said, Director Harris, in the sense the engineers, but also every time we, if you remember, when you saw the handout, there are multiple projects. Each project goes through a set of steps, and the end step, in terms of the design, what needs to be done, and will it work, or how will it work, and all along, the engineers are working with the operations staff and the technicians at the plant, trying to come up with something that, in the end, that works best. What I found in my early part of my career, where I was an engineer right out of college, engineers tended to be a little bit more, I know what to do, and don't tell me what to do kind of thing. That produced really poor designs over time, and we have changed that culture here, starting in about mid to late 90s, where we brought forth all the different trades early in the process, where it's more collaborative way it gets designed. Now, in the end, it's not 100%, but certainly a lot of what heartbreak ones that were taken care of. There's still disagreements or what to do and what not to do, cost, because there's always, engineers tend to be in a certain way and the operations folks tend to be a different way, but ultimately there's a lot of meeting of the mind that happens. So I wanted to, when it comes to putting the system in service, it goes through rigorous testing, multi-step testing process. Operators are typically the ones that are involved in that process, because engineers cannot operate those things. They're not licensed to touch them. They can only touch them on the paper or when it's not working. So it's key for our technicians and operators to be out in the field, and they have served very well for the district, and they'll continue to do that. Obviously, they're the ones that are going to be operating this for decades to come and own this. So I just wanted to add to that.
So one last question, Prabhakar, and I'd like you to be really honest. Was this bottled on site?
No, so the bottled water is not on site. So one of the questions that just out on the side asked, do we really have the world's largest ice making facility on site? At one point, I don't know latest, but at one point we did. So as you drove in, if you look to your left, that's glacier ice. It doesn't matter which store you go and you buy, it comes here, from here, in this region. No, they don't use our wastewater to make the ice, just so that you are suddenly starting not to use ice anymore. This was, was brought here along with our cogeneration power plant back in the mid-90s. And the heat is what, it's a counterintuitive, but heat is what's used for ice making. It's absorption chilling process. It's a lithium bromide is a chemical that's used. We also have chillers on our site that uses heat, but it produces cooling using heat. So since we had the excess heat, that's what was the process used. And at the time, it was at one point the world's largest ice making facility. And all the Rayleigh's brand, you get the Crystal, whatever you call it, it's all bagged here. It's just they have different bags. It's the same ice. So don't go paying extra for some fancy brand thinking that you're getting anything different. That's not the case.
Thank you.
Yeah, look for the cheapest ice and grab it. Look for the cheapest ice and grab it, and you'll be good.
Thank you, Director Harris. Any other comments from directors? Yes.
I'd just like to make a comment. You know, I certainly do appreciate, and I just am in awe of the engineering that we've seen today, and I just want to thank you for giving the credit to your team, and I think we all support that and recognize that. But I gotta say, it starts at the top, Prabhakar, and you've created a culture that has allowed people to grow, and embrace the culture, but certainly expanded upon it. And you know, we saw some key players retire in the middle of this project, which made me a little nervous when Vic said goodbye, and then when Ruben said goodbye. There was people that, some of them I've known as long as I've been on this board. But everything went forward flawlessly, and that's because that you have prepared us. Unbeknownst to us, part of the way you've prepared us for this transition in personnel as this monumental project is coming to completion. So I just think it's appropriate to publicly acknowledge you for all that you have created in this district to carry this project and your staff forward. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you for the comment and appreciation. I really thank you for that. You know, it's you know, you talked about the culture. I grew up in this culture. It's been 25 plus years. I started here 25 plus years ago in a trailer just on that side. That trailer doesn't exist anymore. But there's a great culture here. It's not something that I changed. It's all of us here, you know, add a little bit to it. That's what is at play here. I have an enormous gratitude for this organization. It should never be dependent on one individual or a few individuals. It should go on just as life goes on. And I think that the sanitation districts, I sincerely appreciate you know, what they do and what they have done and what they'll continue to do. There's a lot more to come. I mean, it's a lot of futures ahead of us, and I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Thank you, Director Bruins. Director Frost.
I was wondering if the extended drought will have an impact on your systems here at Regional San.
It can over time. It's a very good question. The drought is one, but the awareness on part of people, because it brings out changes. Both the physical changes, if you remember, all the newer fixtures are very water-wise fixtures in terms of the toilets and the taps and things like that. Almost 20 years ago, we used to get an average flow of 150 million gallons a day, but now we get about 120. In spite of all the growth that we've had in this region, and yet we went the other direction. It's because newer homes being very water efficient and people changing their old fixtures to the new fixtures. Now, drought periodically and the education surrounding the drought brings increased awareness on part of people. So they are conserving water. It's a good thing in terms of preserving our water resources, but there's some side effects to that. The negative side effects. For example, our piping is not designed for such low flows where we collect sewage, both in the homes as well as when we bring it outside, which means that we have to have more maintenance. If the solids, because the pipes are designed to bring water along with the solids here. And if the solids don't move, that causes a lot of corrosion in the pipes, which means we have to flush and clean and do more of it. Both in our piping systems as well as in the home plumbing as well, you'll probably see more plumber calls coming in. Now in the treatment process also, it presents some challenges in terms of how we treat it, but I think we are prepared for that. In terms of our treatment plant here, what you saw is probably going to serve us probably another 40, 50 years, if not longer, without any major size expansion. By the way, we didn't expand the size of the facility much. We added different processes here. So it's something I think we're going to learn to adapt, and we're adapting already. So that's how it's going to go.
Okay, well, thank you. No more comments. Well, I'll just close it out by saying I can't add anything beyond the eloquent words that have been spoken about you, and I just want to thank you myself. This is my second time out here on a tour with you, and I wish I had the chance to know you longer, but just the short amount of time I've gotten to know you, I mean, you are truly a gentleman and a kind man and a generous one and a humble one, and you are leaving a remarkable legacy here for this community, for this region, and for your staff. So thank you very much for the time today, and seeing no further comments, I will adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.